Imagine this for a moment. You're standing at the edge of a life-changing opportunity. A business you've dreamed of starting. A job you've always wanted. A skill that could completely transform your future. You know what to do. You even know how to begin, but somehow you don't. You wait. You hesitate. You overthink. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. And before you realize it, the opportunity is gone. Now here's the strange part. You didn't fail because someone stopped you. You didn't fail because you weren't intelligent enough. You didn't fail because success was impossible. You failed because the person standing between you and your future was you, or more accurately, your brain. But why would your own brain stop you from becoming successful? Isn't your brain supposed to help you? Isn't it supposed to push you toward a better life? Surprisingly, not always, because your brain has a goal that's much older than success, much older than wealth, much older than achievement. Its primary mission isn't to make you extraordinary. It's to keep you alive. And throughout human history, those two goals have rarely been the same. Thousands of years ago, success didn't mean building companies, writing books, becoming famous, or changing the world. Success meant surviving until tomorrow. If your ancestors stayed alive long enough to reproduce, evolution considered them successful. Everything else was secondary. Because of that, natural selection shaped a brain that values safety far more than possibility. It constantly asks one question: is this dangerous? It doesn't matter whether the danger is physical or psychological. If something feels uncertain, unfamiliar, or risky, your brain often treats it as a threat. Starting a business feels risky. Speaking in public feels risky. Changing careers feels risky. Falling in love feels risky. Chasing an impossible dream feels risky. Your conscious mind sees opportunity. Your ancient brain sees uncertainty. When uncertainty appears, survival mode quietly takes control. One of the greatest weapons your brain uses is comfort. Comfort feels wonderful because your brain associates familiarity with safety. The life you already know, even if it makes you unhappy, feels predictable. Predictability kept our ancestors alive. Walking the same path was safer than exploring the unknown. Sleeping in the same shelter was safer than wandering into unfamiliar territory. Today, that same survival mechanism quietly traps millions of people inside lives they secretly want to escape. They stay in jobs they hate because those jobs feel familiar. They remain in unhealthy relationships because loneliness feels uncertain. They avoid taking risks because certainty feels emotionally safer than possibility. The brain whispers, "At least we know what happens here." It rarely says, "Let's see what we're capable of." This is why change feels uncomfortable even when it's good for you. Think about your first day at a new school. Your first day at a new job, or the first time you spoke in front of strangers. Your heart probably raced. Your hands may have shaken. None of those situations were life-threatening. Yet your body reacted as though danger was everywhere. That's because your brain cannot always distinguish between physical danger and social uncertainty. To your nervous system, embarrassment, rejection, criticism, and failure can activate many of the same survival circuits that once responded to predators. The body prepares to protect you long before your logical mind has a chance to evaluate the situation. Fear of failure is only part of the story. Many people are even more afraid of success than they realize. Success changes your identity. It changes other people's expectations. It creates new responsibilities. Imagine becoming incredibly successful at something you love. Suddenly, people expect more from you. More performance, more consistency, more excellence. Success can feel exciting, but it also introduces uncertainty. And uncertainty is exactly what your brain dislikes most. So without realizing it, some people sabotage themselves before they ever reach their full potential. Not because they don't want success, but because success feels unfamiliar. Another invisible force working against you is your brain's obsession with conserving energy. Your brain represents only a small percentage of your body weight, yet it consumes a tremendous amount of energy every day. Because energy was precious throughout human history, your brain evolved to save it whenever possible. That's why habits exist. Repeating familiar behaviors requires far less mental effort than creating new ones. Unfortunately, building a better life almost always requires creating new habits. Learning new skills, waking up earlier, exercising consistently. reading instead of scrolling, practicing instead of procrastinating. All of these demand energy. Your brain naturally resists them, not because they're bad, but because they're expensive from an evolutionary perspective. This resistance becomes especially powerful when facing goals that take a long time to achieve. Modern success often requires months or years of consistent effort before meaningful rewards appear. But your brain prefers immediate rewards. Thousands of years ago, immediate rewards increased the chances of survival. Food today mattered more than food promised next month. That ancient programming still influences your decisions today. Watching one more video feels better than studying for an exam months away. Buying something today feels more rewarding than saving for your future. Sleeping a little longer feels easier than waking up early to improve your life. Your logical mind understands delayed rewards. Your emotional brain keeps choosing immediate comfort. There's another invisible force that quietly keeps people from succeeding: your identity. Every person carries an internal story about who they are. Some people believe, "I'm confident." Others believe, "I'm unlucky." Some say, "I'm disciplined," while others quietly repeat, "I've never been good enough." The dangerous part is that your brain constantly tries to behave in ways that match this identity. Imagine someone who has failed several times in the past. Eventually, they stop seeing failure as something that happened to them and begin seeing it as part of who they are. Instead of thinking, "I failed," they start believing, "I am a failure." Once that identity forms, every new opportunity feels threatening because success would. Challenge the story the brain has been repeating for years. The mind prefers consistency over truth. It would rather protect a familiar identity than create a new one. This is why changing your life often feels like fighting yourself. You're not just changing habits, you're changing the story your brain believes about you. Your brain is also incredibly sensitive to rejection. For most of human history, survival depended on belonging to a tribe. Being accepted meant food, protection, and survival. Being rejected could mean death. Although the world has changed dramatically, your brain still carries that ancient programming. Today, rejection rarely threatens your survival, but your nervous system often reacts as though it does. This is why people stay silent when they have brilliant ideas. They avoid asking for promotions. They never publish the book they've written or launch the business they've dreamed about. Deep inside, the brain whispers, "What if people laugh? What if they judge you? If you fail publicly?" To your logical mind, these are uncomfortable possibilities. To your ancient brain, they resemble social exile. It chooses safety over visibility, even when visibility could completely change your future. Comparison is another trap your brain naturally falls into. Instead of measuring your progress against your past, it constantly measures you against other people. Thousands of years ago, comparing yourself to others helped determine your place within the group. Today, however, comparison has become endless. Through social media, you're no longer comparing yourself to a few people in your community. You're comparing yourself to millions. You see their achievements, their vacations, their success stories, their happiest moments, while quietly comparing them to your ordinary days. Your brain ignores the fact that you're seeing carefully selected highlights rather than complete lives. It simply concludes, "Everyone is ahead of me." That belief slowly destroys motivation because the goal begins to feel impossible before you've even taken the first step. The brain also loves certainty. Unfortunately, success rarely comes with guarantees. Starting something meaningful means stepping into uncertainty. You don't know whether your business will succeed. You don't know whether your idea will work. You don't know whether people will support you. Because the future cannot be predicted, your brain often prefers doing nothing at all. Doing nothing feels safer because it avoids immediate disappointment. But there is a hidden cost. Every opportunity you avoid slowly becomes another regret. Years later, people rarely regret the risks they took as much as the chances they never gave themselves. The pain of failure usually fades with time, but the pain of wondering what if can last a lifetime. The good news is that your brain is not your enemy. Simply doing what evolution designed it to do. It isn't trying to destroy your dreams. It's trying to protect you from uncertainty. The problem is that the same survival system that once kept humans alive can now prevent them from living fully. The key isn't eliminating fear. That's impossible. The key is learning to move while fear is still present. Every time you take a small step despite discomfort, your brain learns something new. It begins to realize that uncertainty is not always danger. Failure is not always disaster. Rejection is not the end. Slowly, your comfort zone expands. The things that once terrified you become ordinary. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something your brain builds through repeated evidence that you can survive challenges and keep moving forward. So the next time you feel yourself hesitating before a big decision, remember this. Your brain is trying to keep you safe, not necessarily successful. If you always obey its desire for comfort, you'll remain exactly where you are. But if you're willing to experience temporary discomfort in pursuit of something meaningful, you begin rewriting the very programming that has controlled your life for years. Success doesn't belong to people who never feel fear. It belongs to those who understand that fear is often proof they're standing at the edge of growth. Your greatest opportunities will almost always exist, just beyond the limits of what feels comfortable. And perhaps the most important realization of all is this. The biggest obstacle between you and the life you want is rarely the world outside. It's the quiet voice inside your own mind telling you to stay where it's safe. The moment you stop letting that voice make every decision, your future begins to change.